I never planned to hit him, I swear. It just happened. That day, something in me snapped. I worked as a secretary in a small, hectic logistics and transportation firm in Lagos State. The company transported everything, from large industrial machines to everyday finished goods. But my role was to manage records, type documents, and keep track of shipments alongside other staff. The pressure was constant. My boss, Mr. Paul, was the kind of man who believed shouting made him powerful. He insulted people like it was part of his job description. I needed that job badly. Rent was due, my younger brother's school fees were on my neck, and I couldn't afford to lose that paycheck. My late father's words echoed in my mind. No matter what life throws at you, keep your head high and never let anyone dull your sparkle. For weeks, I told myself to endure the stress of the job and Mr. Paul's ruthless behavior. That morning started badly. No lights throughout the previous night. My phone battery was dead. When I tried to boil water to make tea, I realized that the cooking gas had finished completely. I opened the pot and just stared at it. No gas, no food. My account balance read less than 500 naira, and I didn't even know where my next meal would come from. I was dead broke, and my best bet was to borrow money from a friend after work. In frustration, I drank a small cup of garri with cold water before dressing up for work. By the time I got into my faded sky blue office shirt and black skirt, I was already exhausted, both emotionally and physically. Then, as if the day hadn't punished me enough, I got stuck in traffic that didn't move for nearly 2 hours. By the time I finally got to the office, everyone was already busy working. Mr. Paul was pacing, his face already swelling like puff-puff with anger. "You are late again, useless girl," he shouted the moment he saw me. I tried to explain about the traffic, but he cut me off. "Do I look like I have time to listen to your excuse? Go and get to work before I reduce your salary." I bit my tongue and kept quiet. A few minutes later, he threw a pile of files on my desk. "Finish this by 2 p.m. and don't mess it up like last time." I nodded and continued typing. He kept walking around, supervising other staff and dropping insults every few minutes. Then he came towards me and stood at my desk and said, "Women like you are meant for the kitchen, not the office. You are so slow." I nodded and continued typing. He kept hovering around me, dropping insults every few minutes, until he leaned close enough for me to smell his breath. I could smell the bitter, acrid tang of stale Nescafe mixed with the heavy, cheap cologne he always wore, a suffocating combination that felt like the physical manifestation of his disrespect. Then he said the one thing I couldn't forgive. "No wonder your father died poor. People from your kind of family are only good at running errands. They never create anything. You are meant to be a simple office messenger, not an office worker." For a second, the whole world went silent in my head. My heart started pounding. This man dared to use the memory of the man who worked himself to the bone to raise us as an insult? Before my brain could process it, I got up from my seat and my hand moved. Pa! The slap echoed throughout the entire office. The cleaner dropped her aluminium bucket. Mr. Dagbo, the accountant, slowly removed his thick-rimmed glasses to see better. Some clients around looked in disbelief. For a second, the whole place looked like a paused movie. Before he could retaliate or say anything, I picked up my bag, removed my ID card, dropped it on the desk and said, "To hell with you, sir." The office stayed silent as I walked out. My legs were shaking, but my heart felt light, lighter than it had in months. When I reached the gate, I stopped and took a deep breath, then burst into laughter. That laughter felt like freedom. The sun was hot, my salary was gone, but my dignity was back. I just went home, bought some foodstuffs on credit from the provision woman at the front of my house, then called my friend Betty to borrow 5,000 naira. I refilled my gas, cooked palm oil rice, ate, and slept off.
2 weeks later, the phone rang. It was Mr. Uzo, one of our company's biggest clients. He was one of the people who had witnessed that slap. He didn't offer details over the phone. Instead, he said, "Come to my office tomorrow. I have something to discuss with you." When I arrived at his office the next day, he greeted me warmly and offered me a seat. After a few minutes of small talk, he leaned forward and said, "I saw what happened that day." He paused, then nodded slowly. "I admired how you handled yourself. I've watched you manage Mr. Paul's madness for months. Anyone who can handle his high-volume documents and type for hours with that much precision while still having the courage to defend her name is exactly the person I need." Mr. Uzo ran a successful branding and packaging firm. My previous company was constantly moving his materials, rolls of branded bags, customized stickers, and bulk printing supplies, so I knew his business intimately. He continued, "I don't need a secretary. I need someone to manage the image and quality control of my firm, and you are perfect for this position." He smiled and said it without even looking at my CV. And that's how I became a manager at one of the biggest printing presses in Lagos. So that day, I didn't just lose a job. I found my voice and a job that truly valued my strength to create something better. So I want to ask, have you ever worked for a mean boss or experienced a boss who kept you on your toes? Let me know in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.